Amie,
Yeah, Juan.
why don't you give me that beat?
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And of course, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Amie, I couldn't find the button for the music.
Oh, is that
That's
okay? I was like, oh God, are we not recording? Are we recording?
I
What's
I was
happening?
I was trying to buy myself time because I was hitting the button and it wasn't going down, and I was like, this is the music cue, this is the part where we hit the music cue, and it wasn't coming up.
Did you
And
see
so
me frantically looking like, are we recording?
I just saw you put your head down in shame, and so
I just
that's
thought you
why.
were experimenting, honestly, with hey, let's say it this way this week. Let's.
No, I should have been better prepared. I usually cue it up so for a much smoother transition, but it just didn't happen.
Hey, we've
Um,
only got like a week and a half left of baseball. If we're, you know what, this is the way the season is going.
this is the way. So I just want to point something out real quick to you guys, and that is
We're going to the World Series.
before we talk about the Dodgers
Oh,
in the
that's
World Series.
that's not what you were going to point out.
No, I want to about something. I just want to mention something related to the show. We hadn't done a show in 2 weeks. Okay. And I know I've said this many times on this show, and I do believe it. Sometimes I feel like we're just talking into the void. I don't know who's listening to. I was completely overwhelmed at the reception that we got on our last episode. It was one of the highest rated episodes that we've done in the history of this show, and so I just want to take this opportunity right now to thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for supporting and following the show. We know you have a lot of choices. There are a lot of shows, too many shows actually out there that talk about the Dodgers. So we get it. So to the fact that you guys came and wanted to hear what we were thinking about the postseason, it means a lot. So I just wanted to thank everybody for that.
Yeah, I was when Juan messaged me. I had to go check, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow, that's well. I guess everybody's getting a little antsy with the postseason. Kind of just what's coming up. Everybody just wants to hear Dodgers stuff. So thank you, everybody.
That's right. Do you have any comments that you want to address from the comments corner?
I mean, it honestly, it seems like everybody's just they were really excited for the series. We got DJ Jesse, you know, the bullpen had him stressed out. So just I think it was like all the preemptive going through the last two games, kind of how we got there, which was riding a high on those first two wins versus like, you know, coming back. What were we gonna expect? So actually, just a lot of people reaching out, honestly, whether it was on the YouTube comments or just like getting messages from like Roland or other listeners on social media. Just everybody kind of checking in, giving their like stressed out, not stressed out, like kind of just opinions. It's just nice to come together as a community.
Absolutely. I don't think we have any updates. Or do you have updates, Amy?
I don't think so. I mean, the Dodgers had a workout day yesterday, so they will be going into their next game Friday. So I guess we'll see how some of the stuff shakes out.
I guess we will see. We still don't know what the World Series roster is going to be. The only thing that I've been seeing, and again, I don't know if it's much of an update, is the Tanner Scott situation. I know everyone thought, well, not that he thought, but if he was going to be eligible, it would be for the World Series roster. there's been nothing concrete whether he is even physically able to play in the World Series yet. And we probably won't know that until the actual rosters are released. So, in terms of those types of updates, we don't have anything. So, why don't we get into it? Let's talk some baseball. And a pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. When we last left you, the Dodgers had a 2-0 lead in the NLCS over the Cerveceros. And I said, when we talk to you guys next week, the Dodgers will either be in the World Series or their season will be over. Well, let's end the suspense, Amy. What happened?
I think they won. Did they win?
They
Did
swept the Cerveceros. They
they
swept the
busted out their brooms?
I did not have that on my bingo card. Amy.
Shocking. You never have this stuff. This is why I tell you, just watch the games and enjoy, my friend.
Yeah, I just did not see. And look, and let's be honest. For me, it's I said this at the beginning of the postseason that if the Dodgers were going to make a deep run, it was going to be the starting pitching that was going to carry them. Wow, is the starting pitching carrying them? For me, that's the story. I know a certain unicorn won the NLCS MVP, Amy, but for me, the MVP of this Dodgers postseason is that starting pitching. I
It,
mean, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, like, we were coming off of 8 innings pitched by Blake Snell, people being a little upset that he didn't get to go out for the ninth. You've got Yamamoto having the first complete game in gosh knows how long. And then Q Glasnow, who's coming in off 4 days of rest. He's got after what he pitched, he's got a .68 ERA. He pitched 5 2/3 innings. And then, I mean, we'll go into more detail on the Ohtani game, but he came in on 12 days rest and he pitched 6 scoreless innings. Like, just amazing what they've done.
For me, I feel like, and you said this, you were concerned about the offense. The offense has done just enough. Just meant. I mean, if you look at that game 3 that the Dodgers won, I mean, they added a run because a pickoff throw went out down the right field line. That's how they scored a run. So it's not like, of course, game 4 was a completely different story. But it's not like the offense is going nuts. It's not like the offense looks like the Azulejos offense, or even to that extent, the Marineros offense in the ALCS, where they were scoring a lot of runs in that series.
Well, this is
It,
where you thought they would be, like closer run, like lower runs scored games. So
yeah, and that's why I feel like the pitching has to be at the level at it's at for the Dodgers to go this far. So, what did you think of games 3 and 4?
I mean, just like, it was beautiful baseball to watch. Like, I feel fortunate that I got to be in the stadium to watch it. But even just some of the plays that these guys were making, like Thursday, you've got Kiké laying out, missed a catch, but then, a couple plays later, you've got this fielder's choice that Muncy just like saves. And I just have no words. You have plays by Mookie Betts, who we already know as a Gold Glove nominee. Like, he's shown his skill this year. And it was beautiful to see. And then you see Shohei come into that game, especially after all of the kind of smack talking people have done about him not contributing, and he hits a leadoff triple. Like, it just, like, speechless. Like, this game, these guys, they never cease to amaze me. But I think they're scrappier than people give them credit for.
So should we just go straight to the Ohtani game?
You're just
Because
gonna jump over any, like, you have nothing to say about game 3?
I like I said, for me, game 3, they did just enough. For me, the game 3, the story once again was Glasnow, even though he wasn't able to match, and look, it's a tall order to match what Snell and Yamamoto did before him, but Glasnow did what he had to do, and the Dodgers offensively did just enough to win that game. To me, it was
Well,
about pitching. I like the bullpen. You got to give them credit because they've been struggling, but they did their job. They held down the fort and they won that game. And for me, at that point, the series now was becoming anticlimactic because it just seemed like the Dodgers, they were going to win this series, whether it was going to be in four or if it was going to be in five. It
That's
just seemed like the
that's
Cerveceros.
anticlimactic to you?
Yeah, because I was expecting a tighter series. I was expecting that it would. I don't want to say that it was more competitive because of the fact that games were close, but in the end, when you look at it, it's the same way that you looked at the World Series last year. The Dodgers won that series in five. If everybody just looks at the number of games won, they're going to say, "Well, that was a gentleman's sweep." But I feel like the games were competitive in the World Series. The games were competitive in this NLCS, but the Dodgers end up sweeping. I was expecting this series to go seven. I was expecting it was going to be a back and forth. And it just, again, the Dodgers starting pitching was just too much for this Cerveceros team. So for me, game three, like once they came and they closed the deal, I was just like, can the Brewers actually steal and extend this series to 5 games? I don't. I was feeling very confident going in Game 4 that the Dodgers were going to wrap this up in a sweep.
It's so funny to me that, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just taking your words out of context, but it's just like anticlimactic, like it's whatever. Like it almost feels like you're bummed that they won, that they swept. Not bummed, but like you wanted a little more action. Like
I think as stressful as it is, and as much as my heart can't stand these games, and look, you're going to take a sweep 10 out of 10 times. You want this over and done with. You don't want to play more games than you have to because there's risk of injury, especially with this Dodger team. But you look at the drama that was involved in the ALCS going 7 games. Yeah, if I was a fan of the Azulejos or if I was a fan of the Marineros, maybe I wouldn't have liked going to 7 games. But let me ask you this. Looking back at some of those series where the Dodgers went seven, or they went to the extent of it, like last year when they went all 5 games against the Show Pods. I have fond memories of that series, even though I had a lot of heartburn during that series. But I had fond memories because it was like back and forth. The Dodgers were on the verge of getting eliminated in that series, and then they go on a ridiculous run in terms of their pitching, and the Show Pods can't even score another run. So like I said, I'm going to take a sweep. That's what I mean by
wow.
anticlimactic, especially that was the National League's number one seed.
It
That was
was.
the number
And
one
but
seed. Was a
that just
team.
proves that it's who you get right now. It's not, this is the team that, basically swept us 6 games in the season. This is who you have right now, and I don't think it takes away from them being a good team. I think the Dodgers just were hungrier. Like they already had the game in the bag in the 6th, and by in the bag I mean they scored that second run. So at that point they're ahead. Then you get the throwaway pitch, which just gives them that extra insurance run. But the offense at least won it on their own merit, and then you tack on that other run. And then just the fact that they were able to hold it down, because I don't know about you, but I got a little nervous with some of those bullpen pitchers coming in. I mean, we heard it in the crowd where people were like kind of looking over at the bullpen and they're like, wait, who are they warming up? And it worked in their favor in game 3. In game 4, luckily it didn't hinder them, but there were still some speed bumps with some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, for you guys watching this, am I wrong to say that the series ended up being anticlimactic? Is that the wrong choice of words? I mean, do none of you guys feel like again? I'm sure every Dodger fan, 10 out of 10, is going to take a sweep. They want, let's get it over and done with. Let's get on to the next round. But in terms of like excitement and stuff like that, I don't know how exciting a 4-0 sweep is as opposed to a series that goes back and forth and you really don't know who's going to win this series.
I don't think it's anticlimactic, but I also don't think you're wrong, because this is again how we all watch baseball differently. I don't look at the game like you do. Like you look at these games and you didn't think they were exciting. To me they were, but I pick out the positives. I pick out the like roller coaster moments when I'm looking at it. Part of that maybe because I'm keeping score and I'm just like, oh, I can look, oh yeah, that's where I was like a little like nail biting in that moment, or that was such a great play. You and I watch differently. I will take a sweep any day of the week, and I'm not saying that you won't, but like to me, like this was still good baseball. Like it was still good teams. So I think that's just, you're not wrong. You get to call it how you want it. It's just trying to kind of understand our different perspectives where we're coming from, because I do not watch baseball the way you do in that respect.
Again, I want to stress, I don't. It's not that it wasn't exciting, because I love pitchers duels. I would rather see 2-1 baseball games. But what was becoming very clear to me is that this Dodgers team, that the Cerveceros had no answer for the Dodgers pitching. And you still have to score runs to win games. And it was becoming very clear that the Cerveceros offensively were challenged. And you have to sit there and you wonder in that ninth inning if Bryce Terang maybe pulls a Rudy Stein from the Bad News Bears and lets that ball hit him with the bases loaded, and the Cerveceros tie that game. Do they maybe end up stealing a game and maybe turning it into a series? And I get it. I think you're taught, your instincts are, you're going to swing away, you're going to get on base. I don't think anybody literally wants to be Rudy Stein and be like, I'm going to let the ball hit me, and that's how I'm going to get on base.
No,
And that's how I'm going to.
that's Josh Naylor when you're jumping into the double play.
Hey, at this point, there's going to be a lot of
Honestly,
people.
I didn't think he jumped into it. I was like, he was just turning to get out of the way, and he was full clip, and he leaped.
No, he hopped. He hopped. That last part I think was unnecessary. If he just would have turned around and then it hit him off the helmet, okay.
He's
But
going
the
fast.
little
I don't
hop-
know. I don't know what it takes to turn around. Is it safer to leap and like slow down your trajectory that way as you're spinning? Or do you try to turn midway through and, like, as we know, objects in motion stay in motion? Does that do something with your muscle? I don't know. Like, I'm not out there. I'm not their trainers. I don't know what they worked on. Maybe they've been taught to leap. It was a good leap.
Look, it's not A-Rod karate chopping Bronson Arroyo, but it was still a little unnecessary. But like I said, I love pitchers duels. I love how the Dodgers starting pitching was in that NLCS. So, but for me, to the point where it's like that dominating, where the other team just really. I was starting to feel, especially towards as you got deeper into that game 3, that the Cerveceros just didn't have enough to overcome this Dodgers team, a Dodgers team that, again, offensively just did enough. It's not like they just came in there and just blew the doors off of it. It was like they just did it. It was the starting pitching, and that just has to be deflating as a team to know it's like, man, we can't do anything against these guys. Like, we can't.
I don't think they just did enough, though. Like, they were all trying. Like, they wanted to hit. They just, like, much like the Brewers, like, it just wasn't working out for them. Like, I don't think anybody was looking at the Dodgers like, they just did, like, you know what, we're kind of skating through this. There's no way. If that team could have scored like 8 runs in a game, they would have done it. But offensively, the Brewers pitching was kind of punishing them too. So
the Brewers did not score more than 1 run in each game of that series, Amie. That's how dominating the Dodgers starting pitching is. And if you can't score more than 1 run, it's going to be really hard to win games. So
100%. But I'm just saying the Dodgers didn't just do enough. Like they were playing
offensively.
as hard as they could.
Offensively, I feel they did just enough because the pitching was so good.
I disagree.
So
I don't think anybody was like, you know what, I'm going to go from 100% down to 70% because our pitching's carrying us, because we know at some point the bullpen might have to go in. Like, I don't know. That's where you and I are going to look at it differently. I don't think the Dodgers were like laying off the gas in any way.
Well, I to be clear, I'm not saying that the Dodgers offensively were not trying or they're laying off the gas. It's going to what you were saying, the concerns with the offensive struggles of this team. When I say they did enough, it was they scored enough to win these games. It's not that they weren't
Oh,
oh,
to
hey,
me, it
we're not
sounds
in
like
that.
you're saying like they did just enough. Like, all right, we did enough. Like, all right, we're good.
No, I mean, you have to again, and this is why I was expecting a different series because the Cerveceros do have good pitching. I mean,
Mhm.
the pitcher for the Cerveceros who came in Game 3 after the starter, I mean,
Mizorowski, the rookie.
Mizorowski is a stud, right?
Mhm.
And you have to sit there and ask yourself, why didn't they start that kid? And I think it absolutely sucks. I hate it that he was on an innings limit, and that's the reason why they used him the way they did. Because I just don't know, especially if you're the Cerveceros, how many opportunities you're going to have to not only get to a World Series or win a World Series. And I get it. They were protecting him because I feel now every organization just automatic acts and assumes that every player they have is going to get hurt.
He's a
So
rookie though, so depending on how he came up and what, you know, what has he been exposed like what we've seen is like colleges limit innings. So then you get into the minors, they're limiting innings. You can't just take off like, all right, kid, like now go pitch like 110 like pitches and go for it. He's gonna hurt himself. So you've got to ramp him up slowly. I totally get why they're protecting him. And yes, you would like to see them kind of let him go a little bit more, but not ruining him for next season if that's going to be the case.
I felt for the Cerveceros fans. I really did. You look at the Marineros, who haven't been to the World Series, haven't been to the World Series in 48 years. I think it is a luxury to have that attitude of, you know what, we'll go get him next year. He'll have more experience. When you don't know. It's very rare, and we've seen it. It's very rare to have an organization do what the Doyers are doing, where every year they're in the playoffs. Every year they have an opportunity to have a postseason. I mean, you sit there and you look at the Metropolitans, who were just in the NLCS last year, and this year they didn't even make the playoffs. And so that's the fear if I'm a Cerveceros fan, where it's like, look, we're in the NLCS. We have a chance, and it just sucks because that kid was really good and he was shutting the Doyers down. I think to your point, that he probably did run out of gas when the Doyers started getting to him. And when I say started getting to him, they only scored one run off of him. But it's one of those things that I hate it because that guy was so good and he was just mowing everybody down. And then I'm just like,
But till he wasn't though, and then it's like, all right, we need to protect him from himself. So it wasn't, to me, it's not like they were pulling him for any other reason other than, hey, you know what, I really like this righty lefty matchup. They were pulling him, in my opinion, to protect him. So in that case, especially being one of the younger pitchers in there, I totally get it. Now if I'm a Brewers fan and they're pulling him, just to pull him, like, oh, I want to have Blake Trinan go up against him. It's like, okay, like that, like we didn't need to pull him, but in the event that they're protecting him from himself from injury, then I mean I totally get it. But again, we watch baseball differently, so
this is not just coming from me. There were other baseball people that I saw this that felt that it was not Murphy's best moment managing in this series. Now, a lot of it, I think maybe his hands are tied behind his back because of the number of injuries that the Cerveceros had to their starting rotation, but there were some decisions. Let's say you start Mizorowski in that game and the Doyers don't score in that first inning, right? Then you have a much closer game. And especially when it's a game that was decided by one run or two, it's I just, for me, like I said, in terms of Game 3, I have nothing else to add. So whatever you have in Game 3, come at it. It's all
no,
you.
I think I'm good. I think I got everything I needed.
Okay, well, let's talk then about the game that probably this series is going to be remembered for.
The
And
game to end all games.
exactly. So let's just start off by say the question that everybody was talking about, even before
Was
the game.
Kike's double play, right? Like that's what everybody was like, man, that double play in the top of the third is a beautiful sight to behold.
Before the game even ended, Amy, the question was, is this the greatest playoff performance of all time? What say you?
I mean, I need more time to marinate on it. I was even seeing questions going around the internet of like, he is the greatest player in sports ever to have existed, and you're seeing the arguments for and against of like, well, what about this and what about this and what about that person, and this is just one game, and it's like, you know what, we're gonna have to take so like break down so much before we even like try to quantify what happened in that game and where it fits in the sports annals. But I will say it was a beautiful game to behold. It was amazing. There were moments where everybody was cheering, and there were moments where people were just dumbfounded, and you had like you couldn't even think of anything to say because it was like, did we just see that happen? Like, and then it was like, hold my beer, let me do it again. Like, oh my god.
Um, I'm going to say this because you're right. That escalated real quickly to the conversations where he was the greatest athlete of all time by the end of the night, right?
Hmm.
But I will say this to the question of this the greatest playoff performance we've ever seen. I think the answer is yes. And really, the answer is yes because there's nothing else you can compare it to, Amy. No one, there have been pitchers. If you go back, Bob Gibson has been a pitcher and he hit a home run in a World Series game. Okay. So you can compare it to that. But then if you're going to do that, Shohei hit 3 home runs, he struck out 10. So nobody has, so if nobody has ever done something that you did, then by default, doesn't that mean that that is probably the greatest thing you've ever seen?
And this is where like my like if where I'm touched by a little of the autism or whatnot, and where like my brain, it's not quite so black and white. Like I think it depends on your metrics, how you're comparing it. Can we absolutely say with 100% that this was the best game ever? I mean, sure, you can, but I think there's so many other things that go into it. Are we talking about like the uniqueness of it, because obviously, like you said, nobody else has ever done it? Are we talking about like how, like, the not the magnification of the moment, but like what was on the line? Like if you take something like, I'm not saying that Gibby's moment was like the best sports thing ever in postseason history, but like for Dodgers fans, it's up there. Does it, like, what are the things that we're measuring each of those things by? And I think that's where it's going to be a little bit different for each person or each conversation that we're having. So that's where my brain's like, it's a little bit more of a gray area. Like, could you say it? Sure. But I think it also depends on how the metrics that we're using. The fact that he single-handedly, like, basically won that game by himself. I'm not trying to
Right.
take away the Dodgers' contributions, but trying to explain it today at work to some people who were not baseball fans, and they were trying to understand. It's like he not only struck out 10 batters, which is like, that's amazing on its own as a pitcher, but then to go ahead and pick up the mantle of designated hitter and go to bat and score 3 runs, but not just score 3, piddly runs. They were home runs, and one of them bounced out of the stadium after hitting the roof in the right field pavilion. Like, the magnitude of what he accomplished on both sides of the mound and home plate is just like, he single-handedly won that game and then had support from the team.
So do we know, did it hit the roof? Because from the angle that I saw, it looked like it cleared the roof and hit the back part of the pavilion, the
So
pavement
what,
area
there was
there.
a lot of confusion. I think you texted me, the people next to me were asking, I was listening to my radio. Like, there was a lot of confusion going on in the moment. And I went on social media. Some people were saying it went out. The Dodgers said it went out, and then it came back in that it didn't. And then I checked in with some of the people in the press box, and they were saying, "Oh no, the overhead speaker that kind of announces stuff is saying that it did hit the roof and it bounced out." So according to like the official whatever, it hit the roof and bounced out. Where? I don't know. I mean, unless you have better camera angles and they start to, I don't want to say release the footage. It's not like it's the Zapruder film or anything like that, but it's, like, until we get better angles to be able to see it. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it bounced out and went out of the stadium.
Well, that for sure. There was a lot of information that was changing after he hit it because it went from being the longest home run hit at Dodger Stadium to then going down to the third longest home run. Giancarlo's home run is still the farthest home run hit at Dodger Stadium.
This one was
But
469 feet. They're
but
measuring it.
this is all semantics, right? But I think that's the big difference. I think, Amie, in this, because yes, there's the 10 strikeouts. Yes, he hit 3 home runs.
One of them
But
still hasn't come down yet. It's in orbit around the Earth.
it's that home run, that second home run, I think that really differentiates everything in this game, and I think it makes it even stand out even more. I couldn't help but think of the 50-50 game that he had in Miami. If anybody remembers that game, he hit a shot in right field that went to the very top of the upper level in Miami. It was a ball that I think, Amie, if that stadium didn't have a roof, might have had a chance of going out of that stadium. I still remember it like it was yesterday, how far he hit that home run in the 50-50 game. So
And
this
he's like, well, I can't do that again. I've already done that. Let me do something different. Like, it literally is a hold my beer moment. But I think it's also just the fact that, like what you just said a second ago, like, this is just going to become lore now, right?
Yeah,
Like, he hit
yeah.
it wherever. And because it did go so far, this is where you're like, what is it? Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. And it's like you're, I don't know how many people I've talked to in the interim days where it's like somebody did say that like it's still orbiting Earth. Oh, hey, I was walking my dog and I just got hit by a ball coming down in Pasadena. Like, everybody kind of has their little like spin on it now, where it's just, it's because it didn't just go into the pavilion. And so now you can, not only do you have the factual standings of what happened, but now you get to introduce it into the lore of baseball, the lore of fandom, which I think is just really cool.
And there will be a plaque. And
Mhm.
what's so crazy is Kyle Schwarber's home run wasn't that far from where Ohtani hit his home run. I mean, Ohtani's was longer than Schwarber's home run, but it's fascinating that in this postseason alone, you've had 2 home runs that have cleared, whether they bounced off the top of the pavilion or not, but have cleared the pavilion area. And yeah, that was a game, Amie, that my jaw was just on the floor. I just kept saying to myself, no way, no way. There's no way that he's doing this.
And then he
And
heard you and he was like, oh, no way. Okay.
if
I've got
that
you,
was
Juan.
look, if that was him playing pissed, more of that, please. More. I would love to see him. I know the odds are it's not going to happen, but I would love to see him do that for 4 games in the World Series and just completely go nuts. Only because that the amount of people who don't follow baseball, like that are diehard, that were talking about Otani's performance was really awesome. I love that. And that's, if a performance like that is going to bring more attention to the game, to these games, I'm all for that, because it was just great to just hear. Even today, while I was driving on the radio, Amie, there are people on the radio that are still saying that we are not doing justice to that performance. Like, we are not talking about it enough. We have not given it enough accolades. How ridiculous it is that what he did in that game.
I agree. And I think that's why it, again, the lore that is being created out of this, but even just the conversation. Like, there are people at my regular day job that like they'll indulge me if I want to talk about baseball, but like they are coming to me in like the last 2 days, like, okay, but what about this game? And it's like, okay, you're not even a baseball fan. Like, let's talk. But the fact that people are talking about this, that it's making people excited. And then we also get to look at all the negativity that was around him for the majority of this postseason outside of the wild card. And it's like, remember, he's a good player. Like, this feeling that you're carrying forward right now about him right now, I think I said right now like 5 times, but hey, how about you remember that baseball is hard. And when even our fan base is knocking these players. Remember, they've still got more kind of like waiting to just come out, but you need that right moment, you need that right pitch, whatever. And so I don't know, there's so many facets of this where it just, the conversation is amazing. Like I'm still getting messages from people that I barely talk to, or listeners that are like coming out, and it's just like, but hey, but what about this? Like I'm still speechless. And it's like, I hear you. Like it's an amazing moment for baseball right now.
What that game 4 did for me was just reemphasize how damn good those Phillies pitchers are. Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, and Luzardo. Because of what they did to Shohei, they made Shohei look silly in that series.
I
They
don't
made
think
Shohei.
he didn't look silly. He just
They made him.
baseball's hard.
They made him take swings that it looked like he had never played baseball before. So to see what he then did, because McGill is not a bad reliever. Okay, McGill is not some some guy they just pulled off of a truck, and for him to go opposite field on him into the center part of the field, that's insane. So that's why for me it just reemphasizes again the job that those Phillies pitchers did on him, making him look even human. Okay, they made him look human, and then all of a sudden he came back and he remembered he was Superman, and he showed everyone that he's Superman.
My boss was even just talking recently with like a former pitcher, and they were sharing like when they just pitched, like the days that they pitched, the days after that, they were tired. Like their body was worn. And so that just to add more to the credence of what he accomplishes, not only every day, but like every day and every couple days after he pitches, he's on the mound, but he's still going back out there to hit. And if you have regular pitchers, and these are good pitchers reminiscing back on their careers, and it's like if they're like dusted, they have days of rest for a reason, and this guy's still out there hitting. It just magnifies what he was able to accomplish. Like we're looking at the stats. He hits the first home run, the leadoff home run in the inning, and you initially see all of these things going across social media. It's the first home run by a Dodgers pitcher in postseason history. And then he hits the second home run, and it's like, oh my God, he's the first pitcher in postseason history with the 2 home run game. And it's like, wait, we haven't even gotten to the 7th inning where he's going to hit a third one. And that second one just going out the way that it did, it just, there's so many facets of this. There's not even like one thing that you're like, wow, that was my favorite moment. There's so many different things that come into play.
Have you heard Andre Ethier taking his victory lap?
I did not. Would you like to share it with me?
So while Shohei was struggling in that Phillies series, Andre Ethier had said that Shohei should, not to him. I think it was David Vassegh who was interviewing him. It may have come from Dodger Talk. But Andre Ethier had said before this crazy game that if he was Shohei, he would take batting practice outside. And it's common knowledge that Shohei does not take batting practice outside. He's always in the cages. That's where he does his work. But Andre Ethier said the reason why he would take batting practice outside is the visualization of seeing where the ball goes in the stadium would help maybe give Shohei that sense of success and that it would translate into the game. And sure enough, he did this before game 3, and then the first at bat he got the triple. And then, of course, the game 4 that will live on forever. So,
and you also heard the other stuff going around too, if he was having fun out there with his teammates as well. Like they jokingly played his walk-up song when he came out to take his at bat. So you've got Michael Bublé in the background. You've got all your teammates that are there. You guys are there for your workout day, and you're trying to get stuff done. And then he's doing the visualization, like you're saying. And then how does that translate to like maybe not quite so serious? Maybe you get to see, okay, this is the product of my hard work, and I can see where it's landing. And then all of those things come together.
Are you okay with him winning NLCS MVP?
I'm indifferent. Why? Do you think somebody else deserved it?
So while we're watching the game, I looked at my wife, and I think it was after the second home run, I looked at her and I said, they're going to give him the NLCS MVP. And then once he hit the third home run, I was like, they're giving him the NLCS MVP. My daughter had some real issues with it. My daughter did not think that he deserved to win the NLCS MVP for just one game. So what I said to her, I said, look, for me, you were probably leaning at one of the pitchers, and you were probably, but who are you going to do it? Like Blake Snell was great, but Blake Snell was only he was only, let me see it here just a second. So like Blake Snell, I mean, was great, right? 8 innings. And then Yamamoto topped him. So if you're going to give it to a pitcher, I think you kind of would have to give the edge over, you would give it to Yamamoto because he pitched a complete game over Blake Snell. But if you were going to give it, I think you have a hard time. If maybe Blake Snell or Yamamoto had pitched more than once in the series, I think you can justify giving the NLCS MVP to a pitcher. Now, before Ohtani went nuts, I think the person they were going to give it to, Amie, was Tommy Edman. I think Tommy Edman was going to win the NLCS MVP. He was hitting over 400 in the NLCS. Offensively, I think that's the guy that they probably were leaning toward before Ohtani went nuts. No, you disagree?
No, I mean, I can see the merit in it. He brought in a lot of runs. I don't know. I just don't have a problem with them getting it. Like, I guess to me, like, I think these are more, I don't want to say they're fun awards because that diminishes it. But like, it's cool that he won it, but it to me, I'm more focused on the World Series. Like, let's just win the World Series. Who you're gonna give the MVP to somebody? Cool, because I think because I can argue for all of those things. It's like they're gonna pick one, and whoever wanted somebody else is gonna be disappointed. So I guess in that respect, I'm like, I don't know. I can definitely see where your daughter has merit, but also just the fact that of what he accomplished in that one game. I mean, it's pretty, the fact that we're still talking about it and the fact that everybody's talking about it. Like, I feel like sometimes maybe one game does, I don't supersede other games. Picking my words carefully.
Yeah, it's definitely worse of first world problems type of argument. The other
I don't
thing
want to say I don't care. It's just like they all did great things, and you're not going to t-ball them. So pick one.
yeah, and that's what I was going to. The other thing is like, well, can you give it to the whole starters? Can you give it to all four pitchers? And I know they weren't going to go ahead and do that, but before Shohei went nuts in that game, I would have leaned towards giving it to the actual entire Dodgers pitching staff because, again, as I stressed at the beginning of this episode, that to me is who won this series for them. I think it was really great to see Roki come back and close out that game, especially the way things started in the beginning of that NLCS. And maybe what it was is that the pitching those 3 innings in the last game of the NLDS maybe did take a lot more out of him that we thought. So it was great to see him bounce back. What
Well,
else do you got?
he had two shutout innings between the two games. Like, he closed them out. Where, like we mentioned before, like Blake Trinan came in and he did a good job. He held it steady in that Thursday game, but that Friday game, Shohei just had 6 shutout innings. Alex Vesia comes in, closes his inning down, and then Blake Trinan gives up a run, the only run in the game, and they were able to at least staunch that with Bonda and Sasaki kind of tackling the latter half of that game. But that's where, again, we kind of come back to some of the weak points in the relief and in the bullpen of like, okay, what do we do once we get to the World Series? Because you're going to probably have, I mean, who knows? As we saw, none of this is set in stone, but if you do have some of those lower run scoring games, closer games, you can't afford to bring somebody in who's like 50-50 and, see what happens.
Well, I sent this to my buddies in game 4. I was like, is there something wrong with Emmett Sheehan? I was expecting Emmett Sheehan in that game as a bridge to Roki. So the fact that Emmett Sheehan was not in really made me scratch my head. I don't think we ever got an answer from Dave Roberts because they were too busy celebrating as to why we didn't see Emmett Sheehan in games 3 or 4.
He might
Um,
just not have thought that it was a good matchup at that point, and he's still testing Trinan out.
yeah.
I think even if you're on the verge of sweeping, I say you go for the sweep and you don't. This is not the time to test things out. Like we know the outcomes of some of this stuff at this point, and
But I know he's not a sure thing, but I don't look at it as a test, Amy. I trust Sheehan right now more than I trust Blake Trinan.
oh no, I don't mean testing Sheehan. I meant testing the other guy. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Like I don't.
yeah,
Why are we continuing?
yeah.
Especially in these games, especially when we see stuff turn so quickly. One run can escalate into so much more than that. And if you can't staunch the flow, these are not the games like, oh, sure, we have the luxury of 3 more games. Yeah, the Mariners thought that too. And look
Yeah.
where they're at. So
Exactly.
to me, that's where it gets it's a little like, oh, I don't know. But I mean, we did see like even with Shohei's 3 home runs, like you saw all the stats out there, but then you see like the stats of all the players who've hit at least 3 home runs in a game in the postseason, and to see that the last 3 were Dodgers. You've got Kiké, you've got Chris Taylor, and then you've now got Shohei Ohtani, and it was like, huh, that's another cool stat.
Well, again, and this is why that game is so nuts. There have been a lot of players. I believe there's been 12 players that have hit 3 home runs in one playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
There have been 26 pitchers that have struck out 10 batters in one playoff game. There's only been one
unicorn
who's done both. And that's why, again, I go back to the fact that it's like, if no one, you can't give another example of someone doing it, it has to be the greatest playoff performance until someone does it again. And then
again,
it's up for debate.
And then it goes for that comes to metrics for me. But then you have Shohei, who pitched what people are arguing as the best postseason game of all time, who goes home and posts a picture of his dog for Halloween. And it's just like, oh, Shohei, bless your heart.
What else do you have for game 4?
I wanted to touch on a couple of things. So we did hear Kiké speak before the game on Friday. And Eric Steven, I dare say, almost made him kind of tear up a little bit, because he asked the question of, did Kiké realize that he's 1 game behind Justin Turner's most postseason games in Dodger history? And I think that's something that we take for granted. Like, you've got all of these, we have all the historic people, the people that are in like the Ring of Honor or whatever. And you still have these more recent, like if you consider recent players, like Justin Turner's still in the league. He's playing for the Cubs. But he's the Dodger with the most postseason games. And now you have Kiké Hernandez, who's about to eclipse him. And so Kiké mentioned that he wasn't really even aware of it, but that he was humbled, he felt fortunate, and that this is not just any franchise. They've been around a lot. They have a lot of history. And for a guy like him from Puerto Rico, who swam against the current his entire life, it's pretty special. He's going to do a lot more reflection after his career, but he thought it was cool, and it was something that he never really dreamed of. And because it was pretty special, I know you like laugh because Kiké is my favorite player, but I think it's something else that points to this. Like, these players, they're so stoked to play for as long as they get in this game. And not every player is going to break records. They're just, they're in there, they're playing whatever. But to have an opportunity, not just Kiké, but some of these other players to be able to make their mark on baseball history, but also Dodgers history, I think it's a really cool, it's cool what we're getting to witness. Not just Kiké, but Shohei's greatness. Like, we're living history in real time. We're going to look back on this in 20, 30 years, and we're just going to, I mean, hopefully we're all alive, but you know what I mean? Like, you and I are getting older. Juan, we're going to look back and like, we got to see this in real time. We're not hearing about it like some of the other historical stuff that's happened.
I thought that was great. I really do, and it just I think it's such a great record because it speaks to him and his postseason success and how important of a player he is in the postseason, and it's the reason why I feel like the Dodgers should go ahead and bring him back next year. So, and I thought his reaction was great also as well, how emotional he got. And
I
look,
started to tear up. I was like, no, not right now.
yeah, like for me, look, this season, I think part of the reason is because the unofficial Kiké fan club always like wants to threaten to kick my ass, and they just throw
Uh,
daggers at me.
we do none of that. All
So
we do is appreciate Kiké.
I think because of that, I'm always reluctant. But this year, this guy has shown me a lot just off the field, that I admire and that I will not forget. And part of it was this reaction and of him showing how much that record means to him. Now, if for some reason the Dodgers don't bring him back next year, keep an eye out, Amy. Enjoy it while you can right now, Kiké, because you know who I think has a legitimate chance of breaking Kiké's record once Kiké gets the record?
Are you about to make me angry?
I'm not going to make you angry. I think this person has a legitimate chance to break this record eventually. And that's Will Smith. Will Smith has 65 playoff games right now. So he's 20 behind Kiké. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know how much longer Kiké is going to play. He's older than Will Smith. Will Smith is still in his prime, and the Dodgers still have this run. Now, unfortunately, I think what's going to happen is, and hopefully I'm wrong because I'm wrong about a lot of things, but there won't be a work stoppage. We don't lose a season. We don't lose a postseason. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But if the Dodgers keep up this success, where they're in the postseason every year, and every year they're making a deep run, I can see, but I mean, a lot of it is going to depend on health, but I could see Will Smith having a legitimate shot at that record. And that's what's crazy, Amy, is if some of these guys would have stayed with the Dodgers, like I look at a guy like Corey Seager, who has 61 postseason games with the Dodgers. If he would have stayed with the Dodgers, you'd have these ridiculous players just fighting each other back
Mhm.
and forth for this record. So, but look, this is about Geek. I just want to like I said, I was really touched by his reaction and
For all
how
the
much that.
goofing around he does,
Yeah,
it's nice when you can see, like, obviously there are many different facets to him, but to get to see the different shades and just emotions of him, it's nice to see the humanity in baseball.
absolutely. Anything else on Game 4?
Um, I don't think so.
All
No.
right. Well, the Dodgers will have a week off from when they won the World Series to when they start the World Series, and now we know where they're starting the World Series. It looked like they were going to start the World Series in Los Angeles. It looked like Game 1 was going to be Friday at Dodger Stadium, but the Azulejos come back in the 7th with one of Dodger fans' favorite players, George Springer, hitting a 3-run home run,
I
and
may
that
have shouted something not very nice when that happened at the brewery.
so the Azulejos end up, after losing the first 2 games of that series, come back and win the ALCS in 7 games, and they will be the Doyers' opponent in the World Series. The Dodgers will open
It's
up
an
the.
actual World Series.
Yes, the Dodgers will. Well, it's more North American, if anything.
Hey, it's another country involved at this
It's international. It's
outside
international.
of just the players that are on all the teams.
So the Dodgers will open up in Toronto, Game 1 on Friday. Amy, your thoughts on this matchup between the Doyers and the Azulejos?
Um, I mean they're well matched. I think it's going to be a good series, like much like what we kept hearing all week at the stadium. Like they're just focused on winning the one game at hand, and I'm just focused on one game at a time. I need to get through Friday before I can think of the rest of the series. I hope they do well. I would like to see them, now that we know that the rest of the game, not the rest of the games, but the chunk in the middle, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be at Dodger Stadium. Selfishly, it would be nice to see them clinch at home.
Yeah,
Finally.
Yeah, this would be.
If they keep playing the way they're playing, I'm not trying to put anything out there, universe. Like, just let it be what it's going to be. But it would be nice for them to clinch
This
up.
would probably be the first world that, well, they have a chance. This would be the first World Series I think they clinch at home since the 60s.
Yeah, you'd know that better than I would. I'm just happy that it would be something within my lifetime that I get to see right away. Because we lucked out with 2020. Well, we didn't luck out. Like, we like literally lucked out. Like, it was the closest I got was being in the parking lot at the drive-in at Dodger Stadium, and we're like looking at the stadium and watching the screen, but like it's not the same as watching your players like have that moment unfold.
Yeah, it really, every series just seems to be different. Like I said, I was not expecting what we saw in the NLCS, so I am very curious to see. I think probably the Phillies were the closest thing offensively to what the Dodgers are going to see with the Azulejos. The Azulejos offensively have a lot of power. Vladdy has been having a great postseason, and George Springer, say what you will about him, the guy is a postseason performer. So he's going to be dangerous. That being said, Amie, I always take good pitching over good hitting. I feel like as offensively as powerful as the Azulejos look, they have not faced starting pitching at the level that the Dodgers have in all of their postseason in the American League. The Yankees did not have the starting rotation that the Dodgers have. The Marineros don't have the starting. Now Marineros have a good starting rotation, but it's not at the level that the Dodgers have, and especially on the run that they're going. Now the question is, what I am concerned about
Is
is
the week off?
yeah, exactly. Will a week off cool these guys off? Now, usually when you hear from former major leaguers, well, they say this, and that is when there is a long break, it tends to affect offense more than it affects pitching. Pitching usually is able to go ahead and carry it over. So hopefully that is true.
And
Um,
these guys, I don't want to say they have the cheat codes, but they figured it out for themselves last year, and they just spent all that time together. So when they weren't practicing, they had the camaraderie of each other that helped build them up and carry them through. So I'm sure they're probably going to do something similar this year to make sure that they can step it up to that next level after it's, I mean, it's not really a bye per se, but the time off is almost equivalent to that.
Yeah. So in terms of the Dodgers' concerns for me, it's that is the break is a concern, and you mentioned it earlier in the episode, the bullpen. So far up until this point, and maybe this is not the right way to phrase it, but it feels like it. They've been able to survive the bullpen, and now you got to wonder, is this the series where the bullpen is going to get exposed because you have an Azulejos team that offensively is much better than the Cerveceros offense? They have power, and like the Cerveceros, they don't strike out that much. But look, that Phillies offense scared the crap out of me, and the Dodgers starting rotation absolutely shut them down. You know, you saw what happened with Bryce Harper, with Trey Turner, with Kyle
Kyle
Schwarber.
Schwarber.
They were not so I could see the Dodgers starting pitching very easily doing that to Vladdy Guerrero and to George Springer. So I think those are the two concerns I would have as a Dodger fan going into this World Series.
I don't want to say that I don't have concerns because that's not true. I think because I take it one game at a time and there's nothing I can do about it. Like I'm just gonna go through, score my games, find my positives where I can. Or I'm more like, I guess where I have more of the head trash around this series coming up is all of the talk that you're hearing, like you just mentioned, a work stoppage. Everybody is talking about, well, if the Dodgers win, then they're ruining baseball and we need a salary cap. And then you even have Dave Roberts' speech where he's saying, like, everybody's saying we're ruining baseball. Well, let's ruin it some more. Like, whatever.
What
Forgive
did
the
you think of
phrase.
that? What did you think of that?
He just leaned into it. I mean, it's what everybody's talking about. Like, I drove to the stadium on Friday And that's like all I could hear on the early radio broadcast is they're talking about it. You're seeing people not even involved with the Dodgers, they're other team adjacent, and some are for and some are against it. It's almost like the polarity that's happening in our world, but it's happening in the factions of baseball. And you do have people throwing out the argument of like, okay, cool. It's kind of what we've been talking about all along. Like, all right, all these teams that are drawing off the CBT and getting baseball welfare that aren't paying and that aren't putting it into their team, like you guys are all crying poverty and, oh, the Dodgers are ruining it, but who are the teams that let these players go, whether by trade for Mookie Betts, whether by bungling a contract with Freddie Freeman, letting go of Blake Snell, especially as a Cy Young winner. Like these teams could have paid for them and they chose not to. So it's not that the Dodgers are capturing all these infinity stones. Somebody, it takes two to tango. Somebody had to let them go in the first place or trade them to have that happen. So again, fix the problem that's wrong with baseball. Let's actually have a true and honest conversation about this, because it's just clouding what's going on around the World Series, because this is one of the big conversations that keeps going on.
I wish he wouldn't have said it. I wish he would have held on to it till after they won the World Series. Only just because I feel
Everybody's
like
thinking it though.
no, you're right. Everyone is thinking it, but I feel like a quote like that is bulletin board material. And you look at it, and I don't know if there is any truth to it, because I know you guys don't believe in the baseball gods. Not everybody's stupid stitious. But you saw what the Cerveceros did after the NLDS when they flew the flag with the big L, which was a reference to the Cachorros flag with the W flag. And so a lot of people felt like, ooh, that's a bad look. You really, it was karma involved in that.
See, I didn't take it him saying that way at all. I just kind of leaning into the rumor.
I don't think it's as overt as the Cerveceros flying the L flag, but I wish he wouldn't have said it. Is there anything egregious to it? No, I don't think so. I also just feel with him saying and acknowledging it, I feel like they're aware of it. The reason why I also feel like it doesn't play that much of a significance is they are playing a team with the fifth largest payroll in all of Major League Baseball. So it's not like the Azulejos are a small market team.
They were in the running for Shohei.
Exactly. It's not a David and Goliath. So as much as everyone wants to go ahead and bring up this argument, the problem, you guys you're actually making the opposite argument. The Azulejos spent money, and as a result of them spending money and investing it in their team, guess what? They're now in the World Series. So this is, if anything, more of an argument of you have to spend money. So,
well, and it also goes to like, this is stuff that players are talking about too. Like Vladdy gave them an ultimatum, and they actually dragged out longer than his ultimatum to like give him that contract extension or whatever they were having him sign. And so it's like, these are things again that the front office, like, I get it, they have to look out for their own, but like these are things that fans see. And I think going back to your comment about Dave Roberts, like, should he have said it? Shouldn't he have? Like, the cat's already out of the bag. Like, you can't unring that bell. But I think it's also, it comes back again to context. We know Dave Roberts as a person, so you know when he's saying it. To me, he's kind of like, sometimes he just says goofy stuff. And it's like, that's why I don't give it credence, because I know he wasn't trying to like, oh yeah, like he's not trying to get one over on anybody. Like if anything, it's just his good natured, like he said it, probably didn't think about it. Whether he should have said it or not it's at this point, it's irrelevant. But I think it goes down to context. Now, if you have somebody else say it and the intent behind it is basically like F all baseball, I don't think that was Dave Roberts' intent. So I think that's for me where I kind of like, I mean, again, you can't unring the bell, but like, what was his intent in saying it? He wasn't being malicious per se. He probably thought it was funny.
Yeah, I wish he wouldn't have said it until after the World Series. If he says that after the World Series they win, I have no issues with it, because there were a lot of Dodger players that after the World Series were running their mouth off and talking a lot of smack on the Yankees. And so when you have a whole off season to deal with that, I think it's very different than you saying something before you're going to start a series that could be board material. But again, I can't stress enough, I don't know how much bulletin board material it can be when you have the fifth largest payroll. And like you mentioned, you were also in the running to sign Shohei. So
Like they already have a target on their back. Like, I mean, I'm saying we can't take it back, but like it's people hating the Dodgers is nothing new.
Yeah, I mean, the San Macedo's tried pulling this David and Goliath thing too. And what I love is Blake Snell was just like, yeah, we're not falling for this. We know you guys are a good team over there. So you guys can say all you want about, well, none of our guys would be good enough to play on their team. Like, no.
Okay, but you guys led the National League. All right. Like,
exactly. So they can try it all they want. Anything else? Any thoughts, previews, things that you're looking for about this World Series?
No, it was just honestly, like, I feel like the conclusion of this NLCS, like on the way to the World Series, like I felt like it was a door closing and a door opening for the next like phase of this, and getting to see the guys celebrate and just like, I know you hate the celebrations at every level, especially the wild card, but it just like getting to see them celebrate and do that, like to me, it is something that is so necessary to whether it's blowing off steam. We see all of the videos on social media of like the antics that are going on in there, or people just walking around and being in the moment of like, we did it. Not only did we do it, but we swept. Like, I want them to have one more moment of that when they win the World Series, because this team does work harder than some people give them credit for. Even if when they're blowing it out of proportion and saying, well, they have this huge payroll, that doesn't denote that they don't have to work hard. Because as we've seen with other teams with larger payrolls, they fold. They don't have the backing of the front office. They don't have the support of each other. Like the Dodgers have found that magic ingredient, that magic recipe that just makes it work for them. And so it's not guaranteed. And the fact that we're getting to enjoy all of this, and like you said, like sometimes we take this for granted that we get to do this every year. We do get spoiled. Like, I think that's why we still should celebrate, so that we don't take for granted those moments. So all that to say, World Series, looking forward to it. And we have some listeners they've reached out. Some of them are going to the games. So I'll see some of you out there. So yeah.
Yeah, Joe House has just confirmed to me he has his he has his tickets for Game 3.
I'm not going to out anybody in case their bosses are listening. So, but a couple of people have reached out and they're going. And like, for those of us who get to be in the stadium, I'm like, yay, we get to see it in person. For those of us that are watching at home and like you get to hear the broadcast or see some of the moments that we miss in real time, like just the fact that we're all getting to enjoy these moments together, I think is amazing.
Anything else on the World Series?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Before we move to transition to another topic, I do want to just get your thoughts real quick. Did you hear the Michael Conforto and his opinion on the postseason?
I had not.
So Michael Conforto was asked how it feels to being left off the roster, not only for the NLDS and the NLCS, and more than likely, the way things are going, he's probably going to be left off of the World Series roster. And look, I know that Michael Conforto has been the favorite whipping boy of a lot of Dodger fans this year, but let's be human for a few minutes here, guys. It must really suck to be him right now, in the sense that he played for this team the whole season. And I get it. His numbers were not what he thought it would be, but it must really suck. And I'll tell you why it probably sucks. If you guys remember Kershaw last year when he spoke and they made him speak and he said, what? I didn't do anything. I'm sure Michael Conforto, there's part of him in the back of his mind as he's celebrating all these celebrations with the champagne. He's like, well, I'm not really contributing. They're like, the team is succeeding in spite of me. But this is what he said. He said he's going to use this as motivation for next year. And part of me is just like, you know what? Good for him. There's a part of me that's also like, well, what else can he say? I mean, it must suck, to be like, all right, I was good enough to play all season, but now when it really, really matters, you guys feel like you're better off with me sitting the bench. Your thoughts on Michael Conforto saying, you know what, I'm going to use this as motivation. And so in the future, I won't be left off any postseason rosters.
I mean, I think that's just like, again, this is where baseball mirrors life. Like, I'm not going to attribute how he's feeling because I don't know how he's feeling. I don't want to assume, but I mean, that's how I would look at something if I'm going through a hardship or something. Like, all right, well, what lesson did I learn from this, and how do I go forward? But I also, I don't think people give these guys enough credit. Where like, yeah, would it be nice to be playing right now? Sure, but if he knows how he did this year, if he knows the best way for them to get to the World Series and win is going to be with however they construct that roster, I'm sure he's going to feel a lot better having a ring on his finger than not. So to me, like, this is where I think that they truly are a team in that respect. Would it be nice to play? Yeah. But as long as my team gets there, I know I helped them get there with whatever my batting average was. I know I still contributed. So I think that's where I don't know. I don't want to say that he's that magnanimous, but I also don't want to take away from him where, like, because these guys are so what's the word I'm thinking of? I can't, because they stick together so well. I don't know, maybe this is me looking at it with rose-colored glasses, but I think when he says it, I think he truly means it. So it doesn't mean that there's not going to be disappointment and you'd want to play, but it also means the bigger goal is winning the World Series, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's other people that are in the same boat as he is for different reasons. I mean, injury is one. I mean, Bicep Ben. I mean, where is poor Bicep Ben? Bicep Ben.
He's still there, but Will Smith is contributing more. Like, and this is where I think it doesn't matter. Like, somebody brought this up on social media. Jose Urena is going to get a World Series ring no matter what, because he pitched in, I think, 6 games for the Blue Jays and 2 for the Dodgers. So no matter what, that guy gets a ring. Like, at the end of the day, that's what people want. Now, whether he's like, oh man, did I earn this? Did I not? Those 2 games help move them 2 games more forward. So everything.
There's another guy that's like that, and I forget what his first name is. Remember that Kennedy kid who played for the Dodgers for like 2 minutes? He played in 3 games.
Buddy Kennedy?
There you go, Buddy Kennedy. Buddy Kennedy played for the Blue Jays and the Dodgers this year. So Buddy Kennedy is going to be one of the
2 games for the Blue Jays and 7 games for the Dodgers. So he gets a ring too.
Yeah. Well, as long as they vote a share for him. But
you know what I mean? Like, he still contributed.
Yeah, I mean, my point with Bicep Ben is just Benny Biceps is just like that guy had major contributions. But you're absolutely right, Amy. You would rather have Will Smith in the lineup over him, But I'm sure Benny Biceps would love to be in the lineup.
Ben Rortvet.
Yeah, Benny Biceps would love to be in the lineup and contributing.
But these guys are humble enough to know their place, though. Instead, they might be out there celebrate. Like, you know what? I didn't get to contribute in these 4 games, but I'm going to be in there celebrating or whatever. They're part of that team dynamic. This is where I think some people, and I'm not saying this is you, I'm just saying in general, some people put their view or their spin on it. This is a team that has said all season long, all we want to do is win a World Series. We need to get there, and not only get there, but we need to win. So nobody's ego is going to step on something else. Ben Rortvet's not throwing maybe he is, I don't know. But like, in theory, he's not throwing a fit of like, why is Will in there and not me? He still has a broken, like, that's not happening. These guys want the best person in there so they can close it out. And that's where, for me, I'm just like, these guys are professionals. That's what you want. You want to win at the highest level, and this is the highest level. If that means I don't get to play, okay, put the best guy in.
All right. Well, that's going to be our World Series talk there, ladies and gentlemen. The World Series starts on Friday, so next week, maybe there'll be a chance that we could be talking about the Dodgers
win, there's a chance
being back-to-back World Series champions. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything. We don't know when
we don't know how it's going to shake out. We'll have another episode sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so we don't know when we're recording next week because it's all going to depend on the world. I did
I'm
on the
working
schedule.
Monday through Wednesday at this point.
Yeah,
Wednesday, obviously, if
so
needed.
so don't freak out, guys, if you don't see an episode because it's really just all going to depend on the World Series and the schedule there. Um, Before we wrap things up, Amy, there's one last topic that I want to uh, talk chop shop with you, and that
I was
is
very upset about this when I told you about it before the show. Like this bothers me.
all right. Go ahead, set it up.
So I'm sure some people heard Mike Shildt from the Padres. He ended up retiring. He announced his retirement on Tuesday, and he had cited as some of those reasons mental stress, and part of that included death threats that he was getting, and so that contributed to him retiring. And then we had the Blue Jays rookie. So from one of the articles that I was looking at, and I hope I don't kill his name, but Trey Yesavage, he had to use part of his like pregame presser to let people know to leave his family and leave his girlfriend alone. And so we've talked about this with Ketel Marte. We've talked about it with some of the other players and how this is more endemic. There's studies that are showing it's from the easy access of keyboard warriors on social media as well as gambling. And it just, I understand why people are doing this, but how hard is it to be a good human? The fact that Mike Shildt, who has been in baseball for, whatever, is retiring, and part of that is due to this. Like it makes me so angry on behalf of these guys that have to deal with this.
And and it just goes to show you, Amy, how bad it must have been for him to retire.
Hmm.
And so I know a lot of people. I know Dodger fans get a really bad rap. I know, and we've seen it firsthand. I mean, we talked about how they treated Michael Conforto. We saw how they were treating the Unicorn, and the Unicorn is the best player in all of Major League Baseball, and they crap on him. Yeah, social media is really tough, and I think it's easier said than done to go ahead and say just ignore it or just turn it off. I,
That's why I am very careful still on this show. What I talk about, what I share, how I post on social media. I don't know how much you take that into consideration, because I know we have our different ways we go about it. But because of, you never know which person you're going to get who's just an angry person who needs to spout off, or is that the angry dangerous person that you need to be careful for?
no, but that's unfortunately the society that we're in. Like there are times now where I just let things just roll off my back because of the fact, Amy, that I don't know, this person may be crazy. They may have a gun. They may just like shoot me, and you just see these random acts of violence, and it's just not worth it. It's just easier to just walk away. I think it really sucks because the show pods are a fan base that likes to take a lot of shots at the Dodgers fan base. And look, because I'm assuming those threats are coming from his own fan base that are upset because they didn't win. And
Yeah,
that's
and
something that we really need to take a look at. That to me is really troubling. It's really troubling in society that there are more Dodger fans that are upset about whether the team wins or loses than over the fact that you had a team that absolutely refused to make a public statement supporting their community. There is more outrage over wins and losses than over things that really matter in life. And that's something I think that needs to be examined.
well, and this is endemic in baseball. So, like you pointed out, that it's not just like Dodgers fans that are threatening Mike
No.
Shildt right now. So, like the article that I was looking on was on Athlon Sports, but if you do a Google search about this, like you will see numerous articles come up, many of them with recent information, some within the last couple of days. But this was saying that the detail about him retiring is less about one in the clubhouse and more about a climate around baseball in the country, and that's what we're seeing. This is an endemic issue. It's not just this one team. They were saying that the Pew Research Center said that online abuse is so widespread that there are reports of 41% of U.S. adults having personally experienced some form of online harassment. Like we're almost at 50% of people. Like this is where I don't understand. Like, it's fine to not agree on things. You and I don't agree on anything. We can have a civil conversation about it, and we could even leave still not agreeing, and that's fine. You're still my friend. Or if it's social media, if I don't agree with that post, I'm not going to go engage with it. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to block it or whatever, and I'm going to go on with my day. I'm probably not going to change that person's mind, especially on social media. But like, I don't understand why this is like why we are having such an issue with people just being good humans. The fact that Savage had to use his media availability before game 1 of the ALCS to ask them to direct the heat at him and not his family. Like, he doesn't need the heat either. Like, what, how about we just appreciate that these guys are doing a good job, that their job is hard. They may not win. Only one team is going to win at the end, and enjoy what we have as we're going through the season. They also reported that right-hander Cam Schlitter from the Yankees, he said that Boston Red Sox fans crossed a line by harassing his family, including his mother, on social media before the wild card series. And multiple media outlets captured and echoed that with him. We've got the Liam Hendricks thing that we talked about earlier this year, where his wife and him were receiving death threats. Like, this is just this year. That's not even talking about like all of the stuff that's constantly happening. This is, like we've said before, and I think you've pointed out, this is just the stuff people are willing to share.
Yeah.
There's so many more players, I'm sure, that aren't sharing this. This article was pointing to what you said before, the gambling. They were saying in 2021, there was a sports gambler found guilty of sending threatening social media messages to players with the Tampa Bay Rays. That person pleaded guilty in federal court because they transmitted those threats in interstate or foreign commerce. Like, just the fact that like this goes back, like that all happened in 2019. This is not a new issue. And baseball has a problem. It needs to, you can't just have a fan code of conduct and rely on people to conduct themselves. Like there's got to be something that goes a step further, because this is not acceptable.
It's not, and I feel like we talk about this way too often on this show, and I have yet to still see a real a way for them to be able to deal with this. I think we still have the same problem, and there is no other way to really solve this. I mean, the fact again that people care this much about a sporting event to the point where they are willing to be abusive, to threaten people's lives. It really is. It's disgusting, and I just I wish we didn't have to talk about it.
We should be enjoying the last week and a half we have of baseball, and players not have to be worried about all of this stuff. Like that, to me, I think we need to keep talking about it, because it needs to not just get swept under the rug, but at the same time, like, we get to enjoy this right now. Maybe not everybody's team is the Dodgers, and half of you hear like different fan bases, well, whoever is playing the Dodgers is who I'm going for. That's great. You're still watching baseball. You're still enjoying the next week and a half. You're not sitting there like tearing people down. And I think that's like, I'm not saying call strangers out on it, but like, I don't know how else we solve it other than like just trying to be better humans.
Is anything else you want to add on this?
No. Be
All right,
good humans, people.
So instead of ending on a downer, I'm going to give you guys a palate cleanser so we can end on. I can't believe I have to address this, but more than one person has brought it to my attention, so I'm going to go ahead and take this time to address this. Juan Ohtani, who has appeared at Dodger Stadium, is not me, ladies and gentlemen. So stop asking me if I am Juan Ohtani. Have you seen Juan Ohtani?
I have not.
So there is a guy at Dodger Stadium who wears the full Dodger uniform. He has a sombrero. He's got a mustache. He's got boots. And on the back of his jersey, he is El Juan Ohtani. That is not me, ladies and gentlemen. So stop asking me, hey, Juan, is this you? Juan Ohtani. I'm not him. I mean, he seems to be enjoying himself. He is quite the celebrity there at Dodger Stadium in Juan Ohtani. The other thing, I think we won't see it maybe for another 5 or 6 years, but the number of people that will be named Shohei Rodriguez.
That was a social media tweet or a social media
Exactly.
post I saw. Yeah.
So we're going to see a lot of Shohei Rodriguez in the future. Try to
Oh.
enjoy the World Series, guys. I think these games. I think it'll be more. Look, yes, would I love a sweep? Would I love the Dodgers to win in 4 and just put it out there so I don't have to worry
We
about
need a
this?
parade.
Yeah, I would love to see that, but something tells me this series is probably going to go longer than 4 games, and something tells me that bullpen is going to get your Tums ready, guys, because I think there's going to be at least one game where the bullpen is going to make you reach for your Tums. But try to enjoy it, guys. As Amie says, this is the last series of the Major League Baseball. This is it. This is the last rodeo. So
This is it.
make no mistake about it. So that's
Yeah,
going to do it.
we're about to become. We're going from summer Amie and summer Juan to winter Amie and winter Juan. Get out all your other hobbies.
That's right. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you've been listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us your comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.